Frédéric Mathis. Hi, Frédéric. How are you doing? Great, thanks. Please take a seat. Okay, so thanks for joining us today for this 3D Experience Forum. What could you give us a brief introduction of what Milla Group means? Absolutely. I like to call Milla Group a new mobility manufacturer. Both points are important. Milla Group is new services, new mobility solutions with driverless shuttles and supervision platforms. In a nutshell, we have two subsidiaries, ISFM that develops the software, and Beta Epsilon that manufactures these shuttles, these vehicles. Why don't we watch a short video that's going to show you one of these vehicles, the Milla Lab series in action.
So there we have it. Autonomous mobility. It's a big chunk, isn't it? So how do you perceive its future? Well, autonomous vehicles, autonomous mobility. For us, it's shared mobility. We saw this in the film, didn't we? Big vehicles here, minibuses, mini coaches, to transport at least 22 people. So not going to the robot taxi, much is made of that in the United States. We're not going down that road because, you know, robot taxis is to get people on the road, but we want to get people off the road, well, vehicles off the road by offering alternative solutions. And this autonomous shuttle will mean that you can get to mobility hubs, but also get these remote villages, get them hooked up to working areas or commercial areas. So that's our job. Shared transport, shared public mobility, and primarily not get more wheels on the road, but to try and, you know, get you out of your private vehicle. So we're fighting auto or car solipsism. What about the technical challenges that you've had to grapple with? Which are the biggest ones? Well, the biggest one is safety, quite clearly. Safety, and making sure that this safety is proven as such. That's crucial for autonomous vehicles, because these latter don't have a driver, or not necessarily even somebody who accompanies the car. These are always connected, these vehicles. So of course they can interact, people can interact with our supervision center, and the vehicle, which is autonomous, is hyper connected. So everything revolves around connectivity, 5G and what have you. 5G is just an example, but you can see that the cyber stakes are high. You don't want to hack the vehicle, do you? So there's, obviously there's a to and fro between the monitoring center and the vehicle itself. What about, how did it go with collaboration on this project? Well, first of all, we had to mobilize. We wanted to do a digital twin straight away of the shuttle or the shuttles. Also wanted a digital twin for our future production facility. This is vital. Because, as I was saying earlier on, of course, it's all about safety, and safety needs to be proved. And we did that through a reliable factory where we know how to track and trace processes, we know how to manage data. So, using 3D experience was something that was a must, really. Now, these basic vehicles are Renault manufactured, is that right? Well, the objective really was to use the platform. So we built its own vehicles A to Z. But this was a 6-person passenger vehicle. So, there are manufacturers who make electrical platforms that are reliable and available. We wanted to move obviously up to a bigger vehicle, so we use those platforms. And 80% wise, we're looking at Renault base vehicles. That's right. So 25 years back, where were you working? I think I was working at Renault. Yeah, absolutely. So your company is very Franco-French. I'm not mistaken, am I? Yes, that's right. We're entirely French. So we develop software on our Meudon facility and software on off-boarded software in our supervision site. And we're starting to open, we have an ISFM with Beta Epsilon, and we have another facility in Les Yvelines in the Greater Paris area. Now, it's important to talk about public transport. So I think in public transport, we have a sovereignty dimension to it, which is extremely marked, and we often forget that, by the way. All right, let's talk about corporate strategy. We were talking about it a moment ago. You talked about these taxi robots in the United States with Google and China, Waymo, and there are others, Q's, Mobileye, Aurora. So there's it's fierce competition. How do you differentiate at the Milla Group? Well, there's not much competition as that, actually. In the past, the autonomous vehicle was seen like a smartphone with wheels. That's a nice way of putting it. It's a nice way of putting it, but it was in fact used earlier on, wasn't it, in the previous sequence by Gilles. But what I think it was getting at was the operating systems, Android or whatever, were finding their way into cars. But an autonomous car is a car with features, technological features, that are highly complex to implement and with a very high level of safety. So the autonomous vehicle is also a car, as the name suggests. Now, the people that you talked about, most of that are not able to produce vehicles. They can do software and what have you. But we wanted to have the entire value chain in our hand, and that's what sets us aside from the rest. How many platforms or vehicles have you currently deployed in France? Well, we're looking at today 30 autonomous shuttles. We've got more than 20 services that are being deployed. So services, what I mean by that are mobility services available to all. The first one was in Vélizy, in the east of France, inaugurated by Valérie Pécresse in September 2019. Pécresse being the regional council elected official. We should have 50 services between now and the end of the year, and we'll be entering into the international arena. In a few days' time, we'll be opening a public service in the centre of Turin. But it doesn't stop there, in actual fact, because you're setting up something with the French railway company, the SNCF. Isn't that right? Yes, that's right. The SNCF chose us, the Milla Group, to manufacture a highly light and original train able to operate on road and rail. So we're looking at a diversity that we can deal with. So through road, you can get closer to your home, and then you're going to get onto rails. Most times, these are unused or no longer used rail track that will take you to a local or regional railway station that couldn't be reached otherwise. So this is ambitious project has started up. We work with Michelin as well, that's developing the tyre for this solution. The first prototypes have already been on the road and the rail. We have to wait for 18 months, 2 years before it's actually operable or operating on road and rail in France. What is the Milla Group forecast for vehicle manufacturing? Well, this is all about the digital twin, in actual fact, and Dassault's tools. We want to produce 1,000 vehicles per year between now and 2030, or at least have the industrial capacity, the installed basis to do that, and have this virtual factory. This will help us manage diversity, because our customer, who is it? It's local authorities, operators you saw in the film, that we do delivery for the last mile through the National Post Office or through Carrefour. So there's lots of diversity in the vehicles that we offer. So the 3D experience tool must guarantee track and trace for design, reliability, but also help us manage this diversity. And we also have the sensors, in particular with those with value, are constantly changing. They're in flux. So you don't want to straight lace things for life. You want to be agile and deft. And Milla, my group, is taking up a position as the European leader in autonomous vehicle, not the prototypes, but the ones that we'll see on our roads, and to deploy into North America ultimately. So 1,000 vehicles per year between now and 2030. That's your objective, with this industrial capacity to back that up. Working, therefore, in conjunction at least until 2030 with Dassault Systèmes. Absolutely. All right, then, to round off, can you tell us about the role, this is dear to your heart, the role played by Visitive, a Dassault Systèmes partner who works in conjunction with you? All right, so we are an SME, so basically we need help to implement all these tools, and Visitive helped us, and is still helping us now, setting up this digital twin, and it doesn't stop there. In fact, we're embarking on this journey. So they help us considerably to deploy that tool, and offers support in our pilot factory project. We're starting to put together a virtual factory, it must be said. So this is a key player for an SME such as ourselves. Also, it helps us integrate. There's lots of discussions. So it helps us keep up to speed, and because it works closely with us, it may suggest, oh, you ought to go off to that additional module or that solution. So it's a partner that we interact with on a daily basis. Something you'd like to add before we close? Yes, I would. I'd like to add the fact that the Milla Group is French Tech 2030, which means that we're considerably supported by the industrialization plan called France 2030. You know all about that, but it's important for us because we have this financial support for investment in factories for manufacturing, and this nourishes many innovative projects. We also have investors who have joined us for just shy of a year. Fonspi, for example, offers BPI specialized in manufacturing investments. They've understood that the autonomous shuttle is just not software, and that they've understood that we need production capacity. Also, the engineering company, Celac, who's been following us and who's been along our side for many a year, an investment fund, deep tech investment fund, which is pretty much specialized in artificial intelligence. So, conclusion-wise, what would you like to say? Well, I'd really like to reassert our commitment to make mobility more inclusive and sustainable. This is genuinely our lifeblood and our leitmotif. Now, making vehicles autonomous is not an end in itself, but it's to make transport available even to those people who live in rural areas or less densely populated areas. And these areas are generally swept under the carpet. And this autonomy is crucial to offer an effective and efficient service and pick up on the needs of future mobility. So, autonomous shuttle, all. Thanks to Frédéric. And thanks to Milla Group as well. Thanks very much. Thanks to you as well. All right, then. He should be doubly thanked, in fact, because he still had 5 minutes speaking time remaining. All right, we've almost reached the end of our morning sequence. Perhaps I can ask Philip S. to come back on the stage to offer concluding remarks for this half day, which is, I think you would agree, very rich in the conversations and exchanges we've had.